I was partner. I had the big house. I had the two dogs. I had the husband. Everything in my life looked great on paper, but I was like, this can't be it.
You're listening to Overwhelmed Working Woman, the podcast that helps you be more calm and more productive by doing less. I'm your host, Michelle Gauthier, a former overwhelmed working woman and current life coach. On this show, we unpack the stress and pressure that today's working woman experiences. And in each episode, you'll get a strategy to bring more calm, ease, and relaxation to your life. Hi, friend. Thanks for joining today. Today, our guest expert is Wendy Meadows. She was a family law attorney for 20 years, and then she decided to become a life coach and a burnout expert based on her own experience. She is also the author of a book called Sparkle and Grit. When you listen today to this interview with Wendy, you'll hear, of course, how she made some bold moves to change her whole life, but you will learn what the real early warning signs of burnout can be. A hint, it might involve Cheez-Its and Netflix. Why completing the stress cycle matters, how physical movement can reset your brain and your body. And finally, how to create an I am identity statement each morning to help you show up powerfully in the most important moments of that day. But before we jump into that, today's episode is sponsored by our friends at Cozy Earth. The first thing that I do when I get up in the morning is put socks on because I keep my house really cold and my bedroom is carpeted, but the rest of my house is wood floors and I want to prevent cold feet. And lately I have been reaching for my new Cozy Earth socks. They're soft and breathable and cushioned in a way that just makes them feel really comfortable from the first step in the morning all the way through the day. It's one of those small everyday things, but it really does make a difference in how you feel. That's what Cozy Earth does. They focus on the comfort in the details, whether it's their socks, their sheets, their comforters, the pajamas. You can tell everything that they make is designed with intention. If you want to get yourself a pair of really comfortable socks or anything Cozy Earth, go to cozyearth.com and use our code OWW for Overwhelmed Working Woman for 20% off. Don't forget, they offer a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty, so you can try anything Cozy Earth completely risk-free. Okay, now let's welcome our guest, Wendy. Thank you so much, Wendy, for being here with us. I'm excited to hear what you have to teach us about with regards to burnout and overwhelm, two of my personal favorite topics. But first, tell us a little bit how you got into this line of work and just a little bit about your own backstory.
So I've been a family law attorney for 20 years this month, which is so wild to me. And as you can imagine, in the family law world, we're in constant conflict. We are in conflict with our opposing counsel, who we are arguing with to get our way. We are in conflict with the judge trying to get our way, and we're in conflict with our client trying to, unfortunately, more often than not, get them to submit to something that we think is reasonable. And I was in that industry for a really long time, and I still am, but in a different way. And I was realizing that I was in this groundhog state of mind all the time, and I was flipping miserable. At the time that I realized, oh my gosh, is this all there is to life? I think this was about 2015. So I had two kids. They were 2 and 4 at that point. I was partner. I had the big house. I had the two dogs. I had the husband. Everything in my life looked great on paper, but I was like, this can't be it. This is.
Yes. Wait, I made it to the top of the mountain and it doesn't feel good up here. I had that same moment.
Oh. And then by a twist of fate, and I don't think anything's accidental, I started seeing all these happy, shiny people online working out and talking about their workouts and talking about their nutrition. And I was like, what is this? I probably did some eye rolls, but I was also intrigued. It was like this equal mix of that is so foreign to me, but also I'm really jealous of them. And why don't I get to be like these women too? And taking a couple of steps in, I became a participant in one of these bright, happy, shiny people groups. It was like a health and wellness group. I really didn't know what I was getting into at the time. And before I knew it, I became a health and wellness coach. I'm like, oh, this is fun, a little bit different. And then the more I kept going down that line, I fell in love with personal development. And I've read some of those books I see behind you. And I was like, oh, there's a whole nother world out there. What is this? I became familiar with the terms burnout, and I became familiar with the terms like overwhelm, work-life balance, and all these things. And push came to shove. My dabbling in the health and wellness industry woke me up. And 7 years ago, I went solo. I became my own lawyer, my own firm. And that gave me the time and space to create what I actually wanted to do. And I became a life coach, I think very similar to you. I became a life coach in 2021. I got certified and I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I saw the dichotomy because I was doing both at once and I still do both at once. Where every morning I was coaching women by the wee hours of the morning and plugging into them and inspiring them and breathing life into them. This super happy interaction is how I began my day for 2 hours every morning. And then I would go to work and it would be hard. I don't think either of us are afraid of hard work, but it would be hard emotionally. I didn't want to be doing it anymore. So I really started paying attention to that dichotomy and saying, okay, life has got to be different.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that. That's so great. And so now you still see life coaching clients and law clients?
But I do my law clients very differently now. So about 5 years ago, I turned off the spigot to litigation. So I do not litigate anymore. So no more husbands, wives, moms, dads. I don't represent them unless I think I can settle the case. And it's so there's a pretty stringent interview process in the beginning to decide is this a case for me? Am I going to refer this to one of my friends who is more suited for this? So instead, what I do is I mediate mom, dad, husband, wife come to me and I get them soup to nuts divorced in terms of figuring out all of the issues between them and guide them through the divorce process. That's my favorite line of work in the legal industry. And I do easier stuff like prenups, postnups, like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. That makes so much sense because I feel like once you learn about personal development and you go through that transition yourself, it's like you can't unsee it. So, probably even the way that you talk to your clients who are there just for your legal services, probably your life coaching comes in without even meaning to.
Family law lawyers always joke that we're part therapists because we have to listen and advise. But that's what I noticed too. I noticed, especially when I was about to leave the firm, I noticed my language was much more coaching. It was always goal oriented, but it was even more goal oriented. And I had people leaving my office laughing and smiling and things, seeing, oh my gosh, the possibilities are endless when they came in crying. So I started seeing this shift, and the lawyers around me are like, what are you doing? They didn't understand. I'm like, I understand it. And my clients are happy with me and getting good results. So not my
So
problem.
there you go. Maybe my new approach is the better one. That's funny. My kids are both adopted. And so we had to go to family court, of course. And I was thinking at the time, this must be one of the only happy things that happens in family court. Other than that, it sounds like that could be a pretty brutal day to day, year after year. It sounds like it could really take a toll on you. So, how do you help high achieving women identify their early signs of burnout? Because you said you were in it, but you didn't know what it was or what to call it.
So often they are landing in my lap when they know they're burnt out. But if I had to be on stage and say, okay, these are the things that I notice when I am like about to be burnt out. And I think you know too, it's not like a one and done. It's like catching it as this is about to happen. The number one thing, I'm like, are you starting to knock into things again? Is your hip catching the side of the counter more than normal? Do you have more bruises on your legs?
I literally never thought about that. That is such a good point. Oh my gosh.
Out. Or my hand-eye coordination is already not very good. I was a runner and I did not play sports for a reason. But again, when I start dropping things and I'm like, why am I dropping everything? Again, I'm like, oh, okay, what else is going on here? I wasn't even aware. And then those are happening. And I think a lot of it's the brain fog. It's like your brain not working like when you know it should. It's snapping at your family when you're like, why are these things coming out of my mouth? I can't even believe this right now. And I'm not just PMSing. I'm not even just like it's that day of my cycle. I'm literally about to bite everybody's head off. And the real honest ones too. And when I come home and all I want to do is open a bottle of wine, as opposed to come home, I could care less about alcohol or sugar. I'm going to spend some time with my family and get to bed early. But I'm like, nope, it's Netflix and wine and snacks and candy. And I need it right now. These are all the little things. I'm like, okay, what else am I trying to soothe within my body? Because something else is happening here. That's when I'm like, that's where things are about to go off the rails.
Yes, I feel like you were peeking in my TV room last night because I was eating Cheez-Its and drinking a glass of wine and watching a show on Netflix. And I was like, Michelle, what is wrong? And it's exactly what you're talking about. Everything was super crazy. There was way more than one single mom could do. And I just felt so overwhelmed. But that's a good thing when you're in our line of work. You do that behavior and then you're like, oh, I see what's going on.
It's not, just because we're burnout coaches, we still get burnt out.
Absolutely.
All into these habits that we're like, why are we doing this? But I think, like you said, we notice what we're doing. We're like, oh, okay. Especially the extra toasty Cheez-Its. If I'm buying those and I'm buying like a chocolate cookie from Trader Joe's and wine, I'm like, okay, I will allow myself this for a night or two, but I can't get into this night.
Yes, I really think that the goal of learning all of this is to just be in that cycle for shorter periods. You recognize it quickly, you know how to get out, and you're not stuck in it for months and months like we probably both were at some point. So, what do you suggest that people do if they are knocking into the counter and eating Cheez Its and drinking wine every night? What's the first step they can take?
First step is get to bed. Go to freaking bed. My kids are 13 and 11, so I'm actually going to bed before them, right? But if the kids are little, go to bed when the kids go to bed. Even if you, and I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's called like anger procrastination or something. It's like when we're angry at the end of the day because we had to do everything else. So we procrastinate going to sleep out of anger that we didn't get to do what we wanted. So
Yeah.
instead of doing that, be like, no, close your eyes and go to bed. That's the first piece because sleep is key. Sleep is always the thing that helps me the most. And I don't know about you, but I'm having this thing where I'm also waking up in an ungodly hour every morning. So to get the most sleep, I got to get to bed early.
Yeah.
Then it's like saying no to booze, saying no to sugar as much as I want it. Nope, sleep, get to bed. And then starting my day with physical activity. If I can do those two things, I really start clearing the cobwebs from my brain and working out, like completing that burnout cycle. Like we have ran away from the lion, we have done our breath, like we're okay. And that time after time is what helps me like feel like myself again.
Yes, that makes so much sense because then you can just get to the point where you can have clear thoughts again. Talk more about completing the stress cycle because people may not know what that is. What do you mean when you say that?
We complete that burnout cycle, the cortisol levels then naturally dip and we can be like, okay, we're good.
Yes. So, to your point, there is such a thing as the stress cycle or the burnout cycle, as you just called it. And when we are feeling stressed and burned out and we finish that cycle, which we can do by having some hot tea and going to bed early or going for a walk or waking up in the morning and working out, those are all things that can end that stress cycle. Then we can get to the point where we can have clear thoughts again. I think a lot of people would say, oh, I know for sure I feel better when I work out. But it just helps the way that you're explaining this, Wendy, and saying that the reason why it feels good is because when we're stressed, we get in fight or flight. And then when you exercise, then we can complete that stress cycle. So, how do you suggest that people carve out those boundaries to protect their personal time?
It's a lot of tough love with yourself. It's a lot of talking to yourself first, saying, I'm going to do this. And it's also setting yourself up for success. So maybe an alarm on your phone at 2 p.m. saying no more caffeine. Because I know if I drink caffeine after 2 p.m., that will affect me going to bed at 8 or 9. And telling your family, hey, I'm going to bed at this time. Do not bug me. I find it's really helpful if I'm not looking at my phone. If I'm getting in bed, I'm like, okay, Wendy, it's time to go to bed. Not to look at my phone, put my phone face down somewhere else until I can actually freaking fall asleep. I like the ashwagandha gummies. I've been having those lately. I think I'm at the Goalie ones at Target. Those seem to be helping. I've been taking them like half an hour before I want to go to bed. I'll pop 2 of them. I'll watch a show with my kids. And then I'm tired 20 minutes later. I'm like, perfect. This is great. That helps me go to bed.
That's a
Um,
good tip. I've never tried those.
the hormone doctors recommended them. And I think they make you calmer and happy as well. So that's a good side effect. But
Yeah, shoot, I'll take that any day.
it's really giving yourself that hard line. And I know it's so hard to shut off your brain, but maybe even reading something boring. If you're going to read a book, read a paper book. And then in the morning, in terms of working out, it's knowing what you're going to be doing. So it can't be, oh, maybe I'll work out in the morning. It's tomorrow I am going to Orange Theory, or tomorrow I'm going to hot yoga, or tomorrow I have a walk with my friend Susie. I'm meeting her at this time. And I've been working out consistently now for 10 years with some hiccups here and there. But what really helped me this last go around, I got an Orange Theory membership. I got a hot yoga membership. I schedule them on my calendar. And if I don't show up, I get dinged $10 or $20. And I don't want to be dinged $10 or $20. So that's the thing that works for me the most lately is I put a timestamp on it. I have to be there. I have to go, and I will get monetarily penalized if I don't. So that's my latest secret in terms of getting me.
That's good. Whatever it takes to hold yourself accountable. Yes.
Just like we say, it changes what works.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to just be open to that. So you and I both thought that we've had found the secret sauce to life. Like we had our great careers and our kids and the husbands and the big house and all that stuff. And it turns out it wasn't that. Not that any of those parts were the problem, but it just didn't feel like we were expecting. So what do you think is the real and true secret sauce to having a great life?
The number one tip I have to the secret sauce of life is when you wake up in the morning, before you look at anything, you scan through your day and you think of the most important thing on tap. It could be a podcast. It could be your kids' play. It could be dinner with friends. It could be a cross examination and a trial. But you just think of the most important part, what will demand your attention the most. And you close your eyes and you do a brief rundown of who you want to be in that moment. What matters to you the most? And then you come up with an I am statement to get you through. So for an example, one of my last big trials several years ago, it was cross-examining a dad on the stand in a custody case. I had mom, obviously dad was on the other side, and he was a piece of work. And I had evidence that I really wanted to get in and be admitted that was spicy and that I knew wasn't really relevant. I wasn't sure if the judge would let me get it in. It was like really nasty Facebook posts. And I knew the other side would object. And the other side was this formidable attorney. He'd been a trial attorney for a gajillion years. I don't do that much trial work. So it was definitely like a David and Goliath kind of situation. And I knew it'd be hard. And I said to myself, okay, in that moment, I will be unwavering. I am unwavering. And I really embraced it and I really saw it. And I walked myself through it before I got to court. And then 5 hours later, I'm there and I'm cross-examining this guy and it unfolded exactly how I thought it would unfold. Lots of objections. I had to state my reasons why I should get at least 3 times over 3 objections. And the first time I was like, okay, I got this. The second time I'm like, oh goodness, should I just sit down and keep my mouth shut? And the third time I was like, no, Wendy, you are unwavering. You are an unwavering person. And I'm like, nope, Your Honor, it needs to come in and blah, blah, blah. All this stuff came out of my mouth. And she said, it's admitted, move on. And I would not have been that person. And I would not have been proud of myself as that attorney who showed up that day or who did an amazing job for my client, but for me deciding who I wanted to be in that moment. And I have done that in work. I have done that with clients. I have done that for my children. I have done that for my family. Every single time I do, I'm really proud of who I am. And it gives me that like work-life balance we talk about in terms of I've decided what demands my attention the most and who I need to be. And then that will make me happy if I am that person in that moment. I am proud of myself in that moment. So I think that is the number one thing people can do to
I
make sure.
love that. That is such a good, actionable thing that anyone can do. Just think about what's the most important thing today. Who do you want to be in that moment? And then come up with your I am statement. I think anytime we think through something ahead of time and intentionally choose who we want to be or how we want to feel, that's so great. I love that. Great example. Now, I want to ask you the 2 questions that I ask everyone who comes on the podcast. The first one is, what do you do when you're overwhelmed? We talk about overwhelm a lot on this podcast to make yourself feel better.
First, I have a hissy fit.
Let it out.
I stomp around and yell, hopefully just to myself. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm overwhelmed. Okay, what can I do? My favorite thing to used to be the wine and the Netflix. And now it is running as fast as I can, putting on my running shoes, putting on my stuff, putting in really good music. I think it's in my playlist as 2025 breakup songs because all the songs are really like angsty and good. And I run as fast as I can.
And that works. That's so great. Good. So again, it's back to the physical thing for you to make yourself feel calmed down. And then what is something that you do consistently to save time or do less? Like ordering your groceries online is an example, but is there anything that you do that consistently saves you time or effort?
It's having my assistant do all my scheduling. Whenever I do my calendar, I mess it up. It takes too much time. I don't like it. So I'll get stuff that I probably even could schedule and I send it to Nicole. Like, this is on your plate, not mine. I don't even worry about it until stuff is on my calendar.
That's so great. So she tells you where to be and when, and you just do it. Good. And what does that save you?
It saves me the annoyingness of like, think of all my mediations, like we're scheduling with husband, wife, mom, dad, who sometimes already don't get along. So you can imagine all the emails that go back and forth to try and get on my calendar. So it saves me time, stress, energy, and like mental space. That's all.
Yes. Yeah. That's amazing. If we could just magically add up all the hours, probably all the hours that she works doing all that stuff for you. Thanks for answering our 2 signature questions. I realized that when you were telling us about your story, I didn't ask you. I see behind you that you have many copies of a book. Are you the author of this book? And if so, tell us about it.
I think you'll like the title. It's Sparkle and Grit, and it live a color life by finally finding balance, escaping monotony, and beating burn.
That is amazing. Oh my gosh. If you guys could see it right now, it would fit perfectly in my office. It's bright pink. It says the word sparkle in it. Why did you write it? Who's it for? What's it about?
The overwhelmed working mom is who I wrote it for. Especially if there's an attorney mom, she's really going to get it as I talk about my attorney stories in here as well. But it's really, to me, way back in 2015, when I was right where you and I were at the beginning of the podcast, is this really all there is to life? And this would have been the handbook or the guidebook to walk me through saying, okay, here's are the things you need to remember. Here's how you're going to get out of the 50 shades of gray that you are miserable in and start living a technicolor life. And here's really easy baby steps to get there. I preach baby steps a lot. It's a very chatty book. I hear it's a very fast read if you read it the fun way. But the way I wrote it is I make people stop and do grit work. And I'm assuming like just like the books behind you, I know they make you stop and do homework. I make you do homework in here. I think it's fun homework. I think it's good for you homework. But usually what people say when they read the first 2 chapters is, Do you have cameras in my house? Because it feels like you do.
Oh, I would have loved to have that book in about 2015, actually. I think it was about the same time as you. I would have loved that. That sounds awesome. Okay, so where can people find your book and where can they find you?
So they can find the book on Amazon, easiest place to buy a copy. It's on Kindle and soft cover, not an Audible yet. That is something I am working on to do one day. And the place they can find me the most, probably Instagram, Wendy S. Meadows, LinkedIn, same thing. And a gift for your audience, if they would like it, is if they go to sparkleandgrit.com/playbook, they can download a copy or the pause time playbook. We talked about my number one way to make sure that we're living this balanced life, beating burnout, and it will walk them through how to do the I am statement each and every morning. It has a beautiful journal template to fill in, and that way they can figure out how to pause time in the way that we talked about earlier today.
Oh, I love that. That's a great idea. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for being on today. I really appreciate your expertise. It was so fun to talk to you. Thank you for listening to the Overwhelmed Working Woman podcast. If you want to learn more about my work, head over to my website at michellegothier.com. See you next week.